Hello, everyone. Welcome to the market simulation call for summer 2021 release. My name is Anshuman Vaidya. I'm your market simulation coordinator, and today is June 3rd. Calls and webinars are recorded for stakeholder convenience, allowing those who are unable to attend to listen to the recordings after the meetings. The recordings will be publicly available on the ISO webpage for a limited time following the meetings. The recordings and any related transcriptions should not be reprinted without the ISO permission. We'll talk about the following agenda today. We'll talk about map stage availability. We'll talk about the timelines for summer 2021 release market simulation initiatives. We'll talk about the initiatives separately. Then we'll talk about a quick reminder about the system interfaces changes that are coming up with summer 2021. And then we'll talk about next steps. You can log into portalmap.kaiser.com to get up-to-date information about map stage availability. Currently, we have a cyber UI and API outage scheduled on Friday next week on 6/11. In the previous meeting, we talked about having this outage from 6/7 to 6/9, which we moved it to 6/11 for market participants to continue testing for the currently released functionalities. OMS UI and API outage is still scheduled from 10th of June to 14th of June. So please keep that in mind. Any questions regarding the current map state scheduled maintenance? All right, moving on. So we got a QRB approval for phase 2 for summer 2021 readiness for scenarios 2 and 5. We are still working with our QRB to get an approval for scenario 1, but we haven't received that yet. And since we received the QRB approval for scenario 2 and 5 yesterday late night, we will be only considering trade dates 6/3 and 6/4 as the official trade date for running market simulation scenarios. We will still be publishing settlement statement data for 6/2 to facilitate any unstructured testing that market participants would have done on 6/2, and the statements will be published. Other than that, I don't have any more changes here. Anybody has any questions regarding these timelines?
Hi, this is Christy Monahan with SRP. Sorry, I think I cut someone off.
Hi, Christy, go ahead.
I had a question on the FERC 831. There's a known software variant where we're not able to submit bids. I cannot get a bid curve to go through. And so I can't really test that today and tomorrow until that variance is resolved. So I'm wondering how we're going to test that before the go live date.
Thank you for the question, Christy. And I think I have my SME for this project, Kevin, on the line. Kevin, do you have an insight on this issue that Christy is talking about? Kevin, if you're talking, you might be on mute. All right, I think we're having some technical issues regarding that. So Christy, let me get back to you on that question. Do you have like a CD ticket or an email that we can refer back to?
Yes, there's a CD and an email that I replied to today again. So the variant is from 2 different city tickets. Do you want the numbers now or?
If you can email me, that will be really great.
Okay, the email I sent is from this morning at 10:27. And then
I will take a look.
The second question is, we had a response from Wendell that one of our resources was not marked as resource specific. And I'm wondering if that needs to be reviewed for all of our resources. And so our manual requests were not showing the correct reference change when the reference was requested. So I was just curious, are those kinds of things reviewed ahead of the market sim? And would you be able to review this as well?
Definitely, Christy. And let me get back to you on that one. I will work with my SME to see why we missed that setting, or is that setting something new. So let me work with them and I'll get back to you on both the issues.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions regarding the timelines?
Hi, Enhancement. This is Chenyu. This is Chenyu from PG&E. I'm curious to know what is the software variance for the FERC Order 831. It would be really good that we're aware if there is no software variance.
Right, Chenyu, as I mentioned that we are still investigating that part, and we have not found out any wide-ranging system issues for any of the projects till now. So, and I'll keep looking, and if I find any of the system issues, then I will put them as a known issues. But as of right now, all the issues that we used to know, they're all resolved. But I will check back again.
That's good. Thank you. My second question is for Summer Readiness 2021, Phase 2. So for Scenario 1, we do not know when CAISO is going to pass the QRB on that. Just a quick question. If you have passed the QRB end of the day or something, then we can start testing on the Friday. Will you also consider next Monday as a trade day, or is that Monday will not be a trade day and we should continue on the 8th, like a Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday?
So I haven't confirmed that next Monday as a trade date as of now. We are assessing the situation. Currently, the Scenario 1, we are hoping, happy path is that we are hoping to simulate that scenario by today and get an approval. If we get an approval by today, we plan to run the scenario tomorrow. And then unless market participants need any more testing, we can discuss about having any other trade date for settlements. But as of now, it's not in the plan to include next Monday as the settlement date.
Okay, and just want to let you know, I think that the Scenario 1, if I remember correctly, CAISO identify as a day ahead, should be also happen in a day ahead process and the real-time process. So we may need 2 trade days. Just a FYI there. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. So we are still working on getting the Scenario 1 market simulation validated in the end-to-end scenario. We haven't found out any issues in the system to actually run that scenario. So if you need to set up the scenario for Scenario 1 to be set up in day ahead, I would advise that or recommend to go ahead and set it up in the day ahead today so that we can test the Scenario 1 for trade day tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions regarding the timelines?
Hey, Ashman, this is Isaac with SE. So,
go ahead, Isaac.
I think, as you know, we've been having problems getting our RDR scenarios dispatched to our system. So, are you going to have backup structure scenario dates for next week if it doesn't work out tomorrow? And when would those dates be?
Right, Isaac. So we're planning to do the structured scenario for Scenario 5 tomorrow. We found out a small settings issue that to run the Scenario 5 RDRR dispatches RDRR resources, we need to enable them. Now, we just got that information from the vendor, and since we're going to run the scenario tomorrow, we plan to enable them, and we're hoping that we should not see any issues for tomorrow. If you're able to test the scenario for tomorrow. I'm still not planning to have any other additional dates next week for settlements. Being said that, I still would have the tight system conditions available next week for any unstructured testing that market participants wants to do.
Yes, yeah, we would request that as well. And just to be clear, the tight system condition runs both day ahead and real time markets, right? So what the issues that we're seeing is that yeah, our day ahead awarded RDR resources not getting dispatched, but I would assume that the real time tight market condition would start dispatching the real time bids that we have for RDR resources. So I understand that you have a resource configuration problem that you are addressing today, but I just also want to make sure that the market condition is set up where we should get dispatches in both markets.
Definitely, Isaac, and we are confident, our SMEs are confident that we would be able to completely simulate the scenario tomorrow.
Okay. Thanks.
Perfect. Any other questions that I can answer for the timelines?
Enhancement, this is Chunyu. I second Isaac's request. So we probably will need to reserve a few days next week to execute anything that we might not be working correctly. And then similar to the request that Isaac had for RDRR, so it sounds like we need some special setup there, and then we will need that as well. So I guess the either you guys will come up with a set of day, we'll do those, or you need the individual requests to make those happen. So let us know if that, you don't have to let us know now, but if you can discuss with your team and then let us know later whether you need us to send a request that you trigger those conditions for each of those scenarios, or so just going to put out a few, few days out. So 1 day for RDR, 1 day for scenario 2, and 1 day for scenario 1, something like that. That would be good to know. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if there is a need for us to add more settlement days, we could definitely talk internally and can let you know. But even if we add settlement days or not, we will definitely be creating market conditions so that you can test all the scenarios this week and the next week without interruption. All right, any other questions that we can discuss here for the timelines? Okay, moving on. So this is a description for the scenarios that we have for summer readiness and resource adequacy enhancements phase 1 and phase 2, and summer readiness phase 1, 2, and 3. There are no changes for this slide. It's just for reference. Any questions here? All right, moving on. All right, for fourth quarter 831, as we know that we're performing scenario 2 and 3 again for today's trade date, and we're performing scenario 1 for tomorrow's trade date. And as I understood that these scenarios were set up fine, we are not seeing any issues regarding that. So if market participants have any questions regarding fourth quarter 831, please let me know. All right, if there are no questions, we can move on. For summer 2021 readiness project, as we know that we cannot consider June 2nd as the official market sim date, even though we will be publishing settlement statement for that day. We are doing scenario number 2 today for trade day June 3rd, and we'll be performing scenario number 5 for trade day 6/4. We are trying to get the scenario 1 validated and passed and QRB approved by today. And market participants are recommended to set up that scenario for tomorrow. If we get a QRB approval, we can start running market simulation for scenario 1 tomorrow also. So any questions regarding the summer readiness project?
So Enhancement, this is Chenyu. So you guys gonna have a QRB, perhaps a QRB end of the day. I know that I've been contacting you to understand the QRB status. So how will we know if tomorrow will be also good for scenario 1?
Thank you for that question, Chenyu. As I sent out an email today to all the market participants who are registered that we are ready to do scenario 2 and 5. Similarly, if we pass the QRB for scenario 1, I would be sending out an additional email informing everyone about the approval of the QRB for scenario 1.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chenyu. Any other questions regarding summer 2021 readiness? All right, moving on. For resource adequacy enhancements, track 1. There are no changes on this slide. We're actually received a code for phase 2, and we are testing it internally currently. And we are hoping to open it up on June 14th for market participants to start testing, but we'll have structured scenarios as scheduled on June 15th. Any questions regarding the resource adequacy enhancements track 1 project?
Hi, this is Mike McGuffin from CES. Yeah, I had a question in terms of how the ISO is monitoring or mocking up the SOC data for those resources that are positioned.
So we just received the code, Mike. We are trying to simulate a scenario this week and next week, and I can have more details for you in the next market sim call.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions that we can talk about here? All right, moving on. So as market participants requested to have a timeline for OMS of how the code is going to proceed. So we have put in this small table which shows the dates when the code is going to map stage and be available for market participant to test. So we have 2 dates for map stage and for production. And we see that we have the RAE track 1 first functionality code that already deployed last month. And it's scheduled to go in production today. Any other questions regarding the OMS summer release timeline? Or any updates from KAISA side they want to add here? All right. Moving on. This is a quick reminder about the system interface changes that are coming with the summer release projects. We haven't changed anything here. Any questions regarding the system interface changes?
Hi, Enhancement, this is Chenyu. I don't have a question here. I do have a question for the previous slide. Can you go back? Thank you.
Sure.
So I'm looking at the preventing curtailment, increasing a planned KAISA outage, and the creation of the NBIN due to TIM and not due to TIM outage. So looks like those 2 will be scheduled in the map stage end of June and production go live early July. So will you be also assigning a phase for those components because they are not exactly aligned with the phase 2 timeline?
That is correct, Sunil. As I get more information, I will put on some firm dates so that everybody would know when we should be able to test this in map stage. And I would invite Sandhya to maybe provide some insight on these two items.
Right now, the end of June and early July is the best we can provide in terms of timeline for these two items. We are waiting on our development team to give us a firmer date, and then we will communicate it in the market sim calls.
Okay. And also, assuming this is aside from the minimum state of charge testing as well, right? Because that one is available on the 15th, and some of these items are available on the 17th. And I feel like they might be in the same track, might be different track, because that one is still going live on June 30th. And I'm seeing here it's some of that going live July 1st, and then some it's early July. So it will be just helpful to understand this part. You're going to handle it, not mingle with the phase 2, but if you do, then will be still it's a different phase.
That is correct, Sunil. This part of RAE track 1 for OMS is separate from the phase 2 for the SOC functionality, and they don't have any bearing that they have to go together.
Right, they're
Okay.
independent. That's correct.
They're independent. Okay,
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions regarding OMSMR release or the system interface changes?
Hi, Ashman. This is Ray calling from PG&E. So these two projects are separate from one another, but I also want to check in on it says the BRS has been published on 6/1. Is that on the release site, or has that not actually been published yet after CAISO's internal review?
Sandhya, would you know about this?
I'm not sure. I would think that the BRS has been published, but if you're not seeing the details, we'll have to check and get back to you.
Right. Let me check that for you, Isaac, and I will get back to you on that one, as Sandhya mentioned.
Thank you.
Benjamin, that's Ray.
Oh, that's Ray. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
It's all good. You deal with a lot of questions. It's okay. Thank you.
I'm sure Isaac
Sure.
will like the information too. Thank you.
Yeah, Ray's voice and Isaac's voice is similar. I got confused.
I wouldn't mind getting the same info, yes. This is
Okay. All right. Any other questions that we can discuss here? All right. Any other questions for the system interface changes? Okay. That's all I had for today's conference, and we have the next one scheduled on June 7th at 2 p.m. I'll open up for any other questions or any CD tickets that we can discuss in this call. Great. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining the call. We'll see you back again on June 7th.
Thanks, Benjamin.
Thank you.